So with that, I'm now going to open it up to questions. And Lachie asks, would Drupal be a better option for a large and complicated store than WordPress? Well, it depends on who you are. I mean, if you're a Drupal developer, sure. But if you're a WordPress person and you're trying to build and your site's in WordPress, then no. I mean, there's really a million different potential options out there, and and all of them are probably good in a certain context, and maybe better in a certain context than another. But uh, but the user base here, or the folks that are members here, are generally um, working only in WordPress, and so and Drupal would be a whole brand new thing to learn. And then you have to ask yourself, well, if you're going to bother learning a whole new thing, um, maybe the thing to do is just to use one of the other open source shopping carts. Um, and but the real answer to your question is I don't know. I don't know whether or not Drupal would be a better option because I'm not a Drupal developer. I don't build sites in Drupal and I don't teach Drupal. So I don't really know what its functions are. And my recommendation, I guess, would be to try and find somebody who knows enough about Drupal to be able to make the same kind of comparison between Drupal plugins. And I don't know if they call them plugins or what they call them in Drupal, but obviously there are a variety of e-commerce solutions available for Drupal as well. And for that matter, there are other CMSs out there that as soon as you decide that you're going to look beyond WordPress, there are a number of other CMSs out there that may be worth looking at as well. And I'd have to actually say I don't know about all of those because the only thing I really know is WordPress. So I have built stores in ASP.NET before, but that was a few years ago, and I'm sure it has progressed way beyond where it was before. So, let's see. Marcia is asking a question. Good morning, Marcia. I just unmuted your microphone.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
I can kind of hear you.
Hold on a second. That's better.
Oh, that's way better. Yeah. Okay, go ahead and ask your question.
Okay, recently had a website built for me,
Mm-hmm.
and they said that I would have to go back to them for any e-commerce. They didn't use a theme. We wanted them to use the Thesis theme, but I think my demands were too great for them in the way to lay it out, but they didn't use a theme. So it's a WordPress site without a theme is what I've been told.
Yeah,
So
that's not possible. But what's the URL?
www.successfulchristianparent.org. And I have a products and
So
services
somebody
page,
actually
but
created a somebody created pardon me. Let me just give me just one more second as I look at this. Somebody actually created a theme for you, or a child theme for you, called Successful Christian Parents. They named it that.
mm-hmm.
And Okay, it's a child theme of the WordPress 2012 theme.
Okay.
Um, and so so that's what it is. It's a custom theme that was built as a child theme to the WordPress default theme of 2012.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
So then your question is what
so
will the
will I
stuff
be able to
work?
use these e-commerce things with this theme then? Because
Yes.
he,
Yes, you should be able to use e-commerce with these. Um,
you can see my very novice attempts to start this over on the products and services page that they provided so far.
so these are books.
Yeah, and they have them linked to Amazon.
Sure.
The Life Lessons is going to be a subscription thing. I don't have the whole process put together, but
Yeah. Now you may actually, if you're just using Amazon links, then okay. Well, let me just take a step back. MarketPress is going to work out of the box for you with this theme. I'm almost certain,
okay,
since it's built on 2012.
okay,
MarketPress works flawlessly with 2012, and so does WooCommerce. So unless they got something really weird going on, the chances are both of those are just going to work right out of the box with 2012.
okay, great, great.
I mean, with this child theme. The Cart 66, both Cart 66 and WPE Store are always going to work because they don't create special templates. They don't rely on special templates.
Okay.
And so either one of those should work for you as well.
Mm-hmm.
And and what kind of, so you're selling some books?
Books. I'm eventually going to have MP3s, and I have ebooks and print books and MP3s, and then I have this Life Lessons. That's going to be a subscription type of deal where people sign up for a month at a time, and I send them out MP3s or emails.
Well, I would just load Woo. I would start off by loading WooCommerce on your site and see what happens.
Most of what you were going through with your sample, I was going, yes, yes, yes. It was like you said, let's figure out Marcia's e-commerce. Most of it matched pretty well.
Yeah, well, and WooCommerce also does have the ability for your links for you to do this, where you click here and it just takes you to the Amazon. You can create
hmm
products on your site that have, rather than actually processing a transaction on your site, actually just link you off to a certain Amazon location.
hmm
That is absolutely
hmm
possible with Woo.
Okay.
And I would say the chances are WooCommerce is going to work fine. May not look exactly the way you want it to do, and you may in fact find that you need to, add a template or more to the site. So you still may want to use the developers to modify a WooCommerce template so that it matches everything completely. But
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that WooCommerce is going to work just fine here.
Okay, great.
And
Thank you.
and WPE Store and Cart 66 are going to be completely. I mean, they will both work just fine without
hmm
any question. They have limitations, right? I didn't really talk too much about Cart 66 because it has one of Cart 66's limitations is its calculation of taxes. If you live in Oregon and you don't have any state sales tax, then it's probably not that big a deal. But if you live in Oregon, if you live in Washington State, where you have to charge sales tax for residents in Washington State, but not for anywhere else, um, Cart 66 makes you handle that inside of PayPal,
Mm-hmm.
which I consider to be a deal killer.
Mm.
But Cart 66 does have oh yeah, plus you want to do the subscription thing, which really is I think also a deal killer for Cart 66.
Yeah, and that's going to be a pretty important part of it eventually.
So then I would load WooCommerce on your site and see if you can make it work.
Okay. Thank
That's
you
how
very
I would
much for your
approach it.
help.
You're welcome. Have a
Okay.
good day.
You too.
Bye
Bye-bye.
bye. Let's see. Where did she go? Okay. And Dr. Jeff. Okay, Dr. Jeff, I just unmuted your microphone.
Hi, Rick. We have to stop meeting like
I
this,
guess so.
but not until I get my site up and running.
Okay.
I'm just wondering if there's an advantage to the opt-in form that comes with WP eStore. Is there an advantage to that over what you can create at Aweber?
No, it's the other way around, actually. The opt-in form for that WPE store will let you create just saves that email address to WordPress, and it doesn't it and so it gives you their email address, and you can send them emails, but you're going to be sending them emails rather than sending them from a service. And you really want to send your marketing emails from a service, because very quickly you'll get marked as a spammer otherwise.
Yeah, and
Um,
there's a lot of marketing that I'll be doing. That's I've already signed up with Aweber, but I thought maybe that their form would integrate with Aweber, but if it doesn't, there's a deal.
no, it doesn't. And I would just go ahead and use the Aweber form. If you watch one of my things on Aweber and Thesis 2, you'll see I generally recommend you just grab the most generic version of the form possible and then use a Thesis 2 to style it. But um,
Yeah, I tried a couple and they're they don't look good design wise, and they're huge. I kind of want it to fit up in the header area. I've got the header area set up as two columns, 2/3 and 1/3. So I've got the header image on one side, and I want to put the opt-in box on the other.
yeah, so what you want to do is just use Aweber's most vanilla generic form with no styling whatsoever,
Okay.
and put that in there, and then you can use Thesis to style it. Have you
Okay.
have you seen either of my case studies on doing that?
Can you name one?
Yeah, I have
If it was part of some other course,
no, it's a standalone
yeah.
case study for WordPress, or not case study. I'm sorry, it's a standalone seminar for Thesis 2, and it's
I saw you
how to create a
on
feature
one.
box with graphics, text, and an Aweber form in Thesis 2.
Okay.
That's really it.
I did see one session of a course where you styled somebody's uh, opt-in for them, and that's probably the route I'm going to have to end up taking, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and on a simple form, on a small form, it's actually pretty easy. So,
Good. I'll have a look at that, and I'll send you an email about sometime before the weekend. I'll try to email to you to let you know the hump I'm trying to get over here,
okay.
and if we can hook up sometime before next Thursday, because it looks like next Thursday is Simple Store with WPE Store. Is that still planned as that?
Yeah, it depends on what happens with Thesis 2.1. if Thesis 2.1 comes out in the next week, I was actually planning on rearranging that schedule and starting with WooCommerce. If it doesn't come out, then I was going to start with WP eStore.
Okay.
So, but you haven't begun any work on WP eStore yet?
No, I've just I've installed it, and as we were talking about yesterday, I've got some changes to make in the layout of the
Right.
whole theme anyway. So
Okay,
I'll
well,
try to get that done before next Thursday.
you might want to. I mean, I do have a lot of instruction on WP eStore, and almost all of it is still perfectly relevant. Right, setting it up, setting the configurations, creating products, all that stuff. All that stuff is really still just the same. And it's certainly the same for essentially the same as the first week. By the time we get into delivering free products and stuff like that, that's the point at which there begin to be some new changes. But in the first week where we just set up a simple store, that is, while it's not the same version, all of the settings are still the same. So,
Okay.
so
Yeah, mine's going to be simple and straightforward.
so you could if we don't do WP eStore next week, you can look on the site at the WP eStore stuff and easily configure your site with the instruction that's there.
Okay. I'll do that, and I'll be in touch within the next day or two.
Great.
Thanks, Rick.
You betcha. Take it easy.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, let's see. Cindy Shipley. Is Cindy here? She's here, but I can't seem to turn her microphone. Oh, let's see. I'm going to send her an audio pen. So Cindy, if you're still listening, I just sent you an audio pen. If you'll enter that pen, # that number, and #, I'll unmute your microphone and we can chat about your question about the use of Volusion rather than the stuff we talked about here. Todd Phillip. Doesn't look like he's here, but he asked whether or not credit card information can be sent via a WooFoo form on WordPress and still be encrypted and kept safe. And the answer is no. Anytime you are going to do something like that, you want to do it inside of a secure system, and the WooFoo form is definitely not that. Most of the systems that we talk about, or actually all of the systems that I've talked about here, have really managed credit card information off of the site. None of the credit card information is stored on your site or even entered on your site. By the time they get around to entering credit card information, they're now on a secure server integrated with whatever payment gateway you're using. So, okay. So Charles Lamb, is Charles Lamb still here? No. He wondered what e-commerce plugin to use, and the answer is, I don't know. Did you get anything out of the session? Maybe did it help you figure it out? Well, that looks like all the questions I have. Does anybody else have a question that they would like addressed or answered? If you do, please put it in the question box. Otherwise, we're just going to call it a day here. You heard me say that tomorrow. I'm sorry. Oh yeah, sure, Jeff, you can have a follow-up. Okay, follow-up question. Go ahead.
Just had a look at it's how to create a feature box with graphics.
Yep.
The feature box is often in the sidebar, isn't it?
Well,
or can it be anywhere?
The fact that it's a feature box is irrelevant, really.
Okay.
I mean, this person wanted it as a feature box, but the styling doesn't really have anything to do with whether it's a feature box or not. The styling, or actually styling the form, doesn't have anything to do with whether or not it's a feature box, right? Styling.
So
Yeah,
sorry, I can still put it in the header widget area then.
absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
great.
Yeah,
Good,
absolutely.
thanks.
Yep, you're welcome. Bye-bye. Okay, so if there are no other questions, I'm going to go ahead and call it a day here. We will be back next week, and we'll either be starting with WPE Store or we'll be starting with WooCommerce, depending upon whether or not Thesis 2.1 is released. And if Thesis 2.1 is released, next Wednesday afternoon, then the chances are we'll still be doing WPE Store because I won't have had time to really test and prepare. But anyway, these videos will be posted on the site by next Tuesday, and you should be able to find them by clicking on this "How to Choose the Right WordPress Shopping Cart," and you'll have the entire collection of last week's videos and today's videos, including the download links for the resources. Lachie asks, should you have the directory box here? I'm going to unmute your microphone. Am I saying it Lachie? Is it Lachie or Lachie?
Yes, it's Lachie.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Yes, it's Lachie.
Lachie. Okay. Go ahead and. I'm not sure I understand the question. Should you leave the directory box blank when installing WordPress? Where is the directory box?
It asks you for questions that there before you actually measure and start the database as well.
Boy, I really can't hear you. Is there some way you can get closer to your microphone, or?
Can you hear me now?
A little bit, yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's better, yes.
Yeah. When you're installing WordPress, it asks you a number of questions, and just after you put in your domain name, then it asks you what's your directory, what to put into the directory, and I guess you could either leave it blank or you could put in something like WordPress or something like that. Are you best to leave it blank, or are you better to put something in there so that it's still content under that?
Yeah, I usually I'm just gonna look and see what it looks like right now. I think what you do. Oh, great.
I guess it's what you call a folder name.
Yeah. So if we are, let's see, let's just go to. Well, that's not what I wanted. Yeah, cPanel. And so when you go to install WordPress, as I recall, what you do is you choose the domain name that you want to install it in, and then it chooses the directory to install it.
Yes.
So, but I just want to, before I just say that definitively, I just want to see it in action here for a second. Come on.
Yes, I think I put in something like DIR or something, but I probably should have left it blank, I think.
Wow, this is really slow.
My question about Drupal, I probably wouldn't have asked. I actually thought it was compatible with WordPress.
No, it is not. It's it's its own kind of content management system, and it's more it's more clearly directed at at developers, not ordinary users, and not by most of the people that are members of my site, really. So
Yes.
if I said, okay, where is the install? So if I click on that to install it, we're just going to have to sit here and watch this thing do its thing. And so we say install, and then it gives you, say, the opportunity to pick the URL or the domain. This is where I would not install or add a directory, right? I'm going to let it install itself to its directly to the directory that is, pardon me, the directory that's associated with this subdomain. So when I created a subdomain, it created a directory called Thesis, and now when I install it, it's going to install it in the server path public HTML Thesis. And if I put in fish sticks here, it would install it in the directory path Thesis fish sticks. But I don't want that. I want it actually installed directly in the directory that was created when I created the subdomain.
Yes.
Is that a reasonable answer?
Yes, it does. So you better just to leave it blank. I thought that's what the better option.
Yeah. No.
With,
leave it blank.
with Word, yes, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
With WooCommerce, so you better does the Genesis theme work better than Thesis, or which one do you use with WooCommerce? Thesis or Genesis?
Well,
Theme?
the choice of Thesis or Genesis is dependent upon what you want to accomplish. If you have a Genesis child theme that looks exactly the way you want it to look, then Genesis is going to be way faster for setting up your site than Thesis is going to be. But if you want complete control over the appearance of your site, then Thesis is going to be substantially easier to accomplish that than it would be in Genesis. So it really depends on what your philosophy of approaching the appearance of the site is. And so, because the thing is that if you're in Genesis and you want to change the appearance of it, you have to break open a code editor and you have to write code. And you don't have any choice about that. That's the only way to customize the appearance of a Genesis child theme. And whether it's CSS code or HTML or PHP, it's usually a combination of all of that. And you're better off being an actual WordPress programmer. And in that case, Genesis is fairly easy to customize if you're already there. However, Thesis is intended to give you that kind of flexibility without requiring you to write code, without requiring you to be a programmer. And I mean, sometimes we find ourselves using programming tools anyway and talking about it in programming ways anyway, but Thesis gives you a lot more control over the appearance of your site simply by clicking buttons and making selections and dragging and dropping things around. However, there's a substantial amount to learn when you're doing that, because it's not it's an extremely powerful piece of software. Therefore, there's stuff to learn in order to do it. And so you have sort of simple and easy, but not but not very easily customizable, or you have very easily customizable but not simple stuff to learn. And those are really your two choices when you're choosing between Genesis and Thesis. And either one of those choices is a valid choice, right? It's a valid choice to say, I like this child theme, I'm going to use it as it is, and I'm going to build my store on it. That's a perfectly acceptable choice, and you'll have your store up and running faster than if you said, I really want my store to look a certain way, and I'm going to so I'm going to need to customize it using Thesis. You'll have more control over the way it looks, but it will take you longer to do. That's pretty much your trade-off.
Well, that's very good. That was an excellent question for me. Puts me on the right track. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You have a great day.
Yeah, no, thank you very much for all this. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye. Okay, next up is John Turner. John's got a question. Where'd he go? John Turner. Good morning, John. I just unmuted your microphone.
Good morning, Rick. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. Hey, I was thinking that I had either read on your site or in another webinar. This is a little bit off topic, but I was thinking that you had said that Thesis 1 was still going to be developed. Is that true, or have they just kind of dropped that?
Well, I don't believe that they have dropped it, but I know that there's been no development on it. In October of last year, they said that Thesis 1 would continue to see development. And I'm guessing that had there been compatibility issues between Thesis 1.8.5 and WordPress 3.6, they would have pushed out an update to Thesis 1.8.5. So I think they're going to keep it compatible with WordPress as WordPress evolves. And once development of 2.1 or 2 settles down, they may very well go back and add functionality onto 1.8.5. I don't know.
Okay. I was just kind of curious. I have multiple sites built with 1.8.5, and I hadn't really seen much from them as far as further development or anything. So.
No, I mean, my philosophy about it at the moment is that I'm not doing any more development for 1.8.5. So all of my plugins, I will continue to maintain and keep them working in continuing versions of WordPress. So they'll work in WordPress 3.6. But I don't, unless something happens with Thesis 1.8.5, in terms of new development, I don't intend to create any new plugins for 1.8.5. I mean, it's a perfectly acceptable development platform, but for all the hard stuff, 2 is just so much easier than 1.8.5 that I wouldn't develop in 1.8.5 any longer.
Yeah, my problem is I know 1.8.5 pretty well, and I just haven't had the time to spend in 2.0.
Which is why there's no reason for you to. Somebody just commented that my password, admin username and password is here, but I haven't actually created. This is its suggested stuff. There's no actual WordPress site out there with this is a WordPress username and this is a password, so I'm fine here. You don't have to worry about that. But in case anybody did worry about it, I'll just kill it. But there's no reason why you need to change to 1.8.5 either, unless you want to use WooCommerce, right? But if you're happy with your sites, there's no reason to upgrade them to 1.8.5. If you may not have noticed that BYOB website is still at 1.8.5. So.
Hey, one more quick question. What were you using to figure out what the theme, etc., was on that gal's Christian website?
View source. I just viewed the page source. Every browser has this ability for you to view the page source, and then once you do that, you can see where the CSS file is. And so this is the Cart 66 theme is Grizzly theme.
Oh, okay.
All right. You just look under WP content and themes and look for the CSS file that is, or the name of the folder after themes that the CSS files are in.
Okay. Awesome. Hey, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye-bye. Okay, and finally, Scott Kramer. Good morning, Scott. I just unmuted your microphone.
Oh, okay. Is my mic? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Yes.
Okay, I just want to say thanks.
You were the one who said that my account password was. Oh.
Yeah, I was just worried
Okay.
because I didn't know. Probably everybody's honest, but I was just worried about you because I appreciate everything you do for all of us.
Okay. Well, you have a great day.
Okay, thank you, Rick.
You bet. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, and I guess that is it now, unless I inadvertently deleted somebody else's question. So we'll be back on Wednesday for Q&A, Wednesday morning and Wednesday evening for Q&A, and then we'll be back again next Thursday for either WP eStore or WooCommerce, depending upon what happens with Thesis 2.1. So everybody have a lovely day. I look forward to chatting with you again soon. Bye-bye.